then, with any hope, we'll soon have answers to the giant creatures, as well as the rest of the rumors of these robot knights. The young Sid's cringed at the fact that every pony thought they were robots. Sunburst and looked conflicted. But until then, we have to cancel classes. Some of the students gasped in shock, while others got angry. With all due respect, sir, I highly disagree. Everybody then looked at Silverblade Knightley. Canceling classes is not an option that many of these students have been looking forward to all year to learning what we have to teach them. Plus, some of them have come from faraway places, he said, gesturing to the young six. Yes, I can understand, and believe me, it wasn't an easy decision to make, but I can't in good conscience put teachers and students in danger. Stunbus then looked at all the teachers and students. I know you all must be disappointed to hear this, but until we have full understanding of what's going on, classes will be canceled and the school will be closed. Many of the students moaned in disappointment. However, as soon as we fully understand everything, the School of Friendship will be back in season. So what are we supposed to do until then? Well, you're free to walk around the school, go to the library, or go outside and do some exercises. The choice is yours. However, you're not allowed to leave the shield around the school. Well, okay, let me get this straight. Classes are canceled. The classes that you guys need to go to. But they are still being confined to the school, even though there are no classes. You're confined to the school, but there are no classes. Why not just send everybody back home? So what you're basically saying is that we're under house arrest in the school, said Gauss. Sunburst was getting a little mad that his students had interrupted him twice. Sandbar did elbow to Blue Griffith. Gallus, don't be rude, he whispered. Hey, don't hit me, Gallus whispered, slightly pushing Sandbar. Hey, don't push your friend, said Yelena. Silver streaming eyeglasses quickly sussed her. Well, it would appear that some students have something to say. So rather than interrupt the Fry's headstone, why don't you six come out and say it? Mr. Silverblade said in a calm tone. Sandbar stepped forward. I'm very sorry, Vice Stallion the Sunburst. We didn't mean to be rude. He apologized very sincerely. I mean, it's just us being held hostage. No biggie. Yeah, we didn't mean to disrespect you in Headmare Starlight, Silverstream said. Wait, what do you mean me and Starlight? Sunburst said, icing an eyebrow. Who just said this line? Hello? There's no possessive pronoun here. Okay, fine, it's gone. Well, it would seem that Silverstream and her friends were the ones who were gossiping ahead of their Starlight's announcements yesterday. And now they're doing it again. I can think of only one thing to do. Oh, my scary person, Bossy, you saying marshmallows? Asked Pinkie Pie. Do I really need to describe to you, the audience, who Pinkie Pie is? Do I really need to tell you who this is? Oh no, that does sound fun, said Mr. Knightley, trying not to laugh at Pinkie's randomness. I was thinking more of the lines of detention. Ooh, do for free. Fine, Trix. For free! Thank you, Trixie. You're welcome. Mr. Silverblade, I never had detention before in my life. Oh, my mom's gonna kill me, said Sandbar, sliding his face into the desk, while the sword was on his head, then lifted his head. This gonna bring you back as a zombie. This gonna kill you all over again, he said once again, slamming his face into the desk with his hose on his head. He relax, it's all good, said Smolder's voice. Wait, what do you mean? asked the confused Surf Pony. Sandbar, I told you that I would answer all of your questions once your training begins, said Mr. Silverblade Knightley. He then closed to lock the door, and then with a stomp of his hoof, the young six were teleported to the castle of the two sisters. Ooh, I get it. Detention wasn't covered, so we could all get to secret training, said Sandbar. Sorry, we didn't tell, but Silverblade thought it would be more convincing if you didn't know. Wait, so all the rest of you knew? That kind of makes it harder. That's okay. Well, on the bright side, my mom won't know I had detention, Sandbar said with a smile. Sorry, Sandbar, but she will know, said Silverblade, who changed into a spirit knight form. What? Why? Well, I wouldn't be a good teacher if I didn't. You could have waited about 5 minutes, you know. You didn't need to do this stupid detention bit. Well, somebody comes to the detention room since we're not there. One step ahead of you, said Spirit Knight. Pinkie Pie was hopping through the dark hallway until she saw no one at the door in the detention room. Do not disturb unless you want detention too. I can't get any detention, can I? She asked Gummy. Her toothless pet. Gummy. Yeah, you're right. Better take any chances. La. Piggy says. He continued hopping down the hallway. Now that we're all here, it seems now's the time to answer some questions that you've had since we first met, Silverblade said. Didn't know Oculus was raising her hoof. Alright, Oculus, I'll start with you. With all due respect, Silverblade, how can we train till the Dark One keeps attacking? No need to be scared, my little changeling. He won't be attacking anytime soon. Silverblade said with confident voice. How can you be so sure? Asked Smolder. Because if he was going to launch another attack, he would have done it by now, and would have done it himself. But he's not going to do that. Thanks to you, the Sword Morphers, and two things that give our side his advance. Young Six gave the legendary knight a confused look. You see, after Slice and Dice tried to get to the Tree of Harmony and then tried to flood Ponyville for the Master Goat, it raised some important questions. Why would a goat send a monster to do the same question? Orcs failed to do. And more importantly, why would the orcs, whose only loyalty is to the Dark One, be working for Master Goat? That's a good question, Gal says. He and his friends trying to think of an answer. And for some odd reason, we got a Jeopardy video. Joy! Well, Gallus, the answer to both questions is rather simple, said Johnson with a smile. It is, the other six said simultaneously. If Slice and Dice and the Orcs were both working for the Master Goat, it only mean that Master Oak and the Dark One are one and the same. How's that possible? Asked Silverstream, unsure where he was going with this, or gave him the two advances. My theory is that Darklaw's partner, who happened to be a goat, were trying to perform some sort of ancient magic ritual, unknowingly right where the Dark One was sealed and will accidentally release him. But being without a body in such a weakened state, no choice but to possess the first body he saw, and that would be the goat, which would also explain why I sensed his resurrection. I also sensed a weak aura around him as well. Uggles gasped, which means the Dark One is weak while also being a weak by himself. With the body he's currently inside of, I can only say about 10% of his full power, Johnson explained. That is a huge advantage, said Silverstream in an excited tone, even doing a mini loop-de-loop in the air. But wait, why didn't he just take our Slice and Dice's body so he could get to the tree himself? Asked Gallus. That's because he can't. You see, when a dark spirit is separated from the original body and possesses an entirely different body, they are trapped in that body until they are expelled by a powerful spell, forced out by the spirit of the body, or possessed by the body itself and gets destroyed, or an agent turned to dust. That would also explain how a creep like Darklaw got mixed all this, said Sandbar. But who is he? Where did he come from? That is a question I don't have an answer to. What? The other six said simultaneously. I may be a 2,000-year-old spirit. Doesn't mean I know anything, everything, or have all the answers. I have no idea who he is or where he comes from. So what's the other advantage? Well, after seeing Slice and Dice's surprise reaction to seeing you as Power Rangers in your Zords, I realized he had no idea he was going to face Power Rangers. And that's because Master Goat, aka the Dark One, didn't tell him. He said, pointing behind him to the ball that still contained that tiny monster. The young six were intrigued. The reason he didn't tell you is that when me and my former knights gave our lives to defeat and steal away, he assumed our powers were destroyed, and he had no idea that his greatest enemy is training the Power Rangers to defeat your demise. Am I right, Slice and Dice? He asked the monster in the ball. The chainsaw monster just huffed to turn around so he was back as facing the knight. You know, by not answering my question, you just confirmed my theory, said the spirit knight. The chainsaw monster got angry and used his ultimate chainsaw beam on the ball he was trapped in. However, it was to no avail, didn't even scratch it. Wow, feels much better knowing you guys so weak. Yeah, but there are other things we still don't know. Well, you have questions and I have answers, so ask away. Hold on! Gal said. The young six then huddled into a small circle and started whispering amongst themselves, while Johnson waited impatiently. Break! Said the young six, breaking up from their huddle. We each have our series of questions to ask you, so I'll go first. Why didn't you freeze the orcs or slice and dice in time, like you did to us at Sunburst? How did you get a job as a teacher for a school of friendship? And how can you stop time teleport creatures make magic seals and that stuff? How do we all these martial arts against the orcs without being trained? How did the swords use us? Are the swords alive? Where did the swords come from? And who made them? What were these giant metal beasts? And how do we know how to drive them? How long have they been under Plainville? Where did they come from? How come Yorks did not want to take off Yona's helmet? What's a paladin? How were we able to do crazy powers when we first met orcs at the Tree of Harmony? When I was able to fight Slice and Dice's chainsaw beam? What's the story behind this changed one? And what is his real name? Asked Gallus, who most questions amongst his friends. Okay, in that order, my time-stopping spell only works on weak creatures, or in your case, untrained. I made some fake paperwork of me teaching the EEA, while also giving them fake memories from the ponies at Canterlot. Now, I know it's wrong to mess with ponies' minds, but I assure you that the mind spell was completely harmless. Only way to get a close eye on you six while making sure you would get the training you need. Now, as for all the things you see me do, it's well thanks to alchemy. Alchemy? Of course, alchemy. The cat's all phrase. Alchemy is one of the most powerful, if not most powerful magic in the universe. You can use it to create, change, or destroy. Silverblade said, demonstrating by focusing some alchemy magic in his hand, the levitating rock and turning it into a rock flower, all being by chasing it to a rock tree. Or closing his hand and disintegrating the rock completely. With enough years of discipline and practice, there are almost no limits to what you could do. The only limit is how much mana or energy you have, and how strong your enemies are. Like orcs, who are completely immune to most light-based magic. But you're a spirit without a body, you have no mana at all, so I had to use a different energy source. That would be the morphing grid. I'm not entirely sure myself what the morphing grid is. My knowledge is very limited, but what I do know is an energy field that surrounds every part of the universe and maintained by the balance between battling the forces of good and evil. Only see glimpses of it, but it is breathtaking. His hands had started to glow pure white aura, Perpetua Memoria. He had clapped his glowing hands together, and a blinding flash reminded the young six. The young six got their fists back. They were what looked like some sort of dark blue woods, well, not in the Everfree Forest. How do we get in the middle of the woods? Or not? This is a memory protection spell, and this place is where I saw the morphing grid for the first and only time in my existence. Young Six looked around and saw nothing but trees. Look up. He said, pointing up. And when he did, he looked at an airy field of stars. Whoa, is that the morphing grid? It's beautiful. The other can't see that well. Oh yeah, with Yoda, it's small and hard to see. Sorry, I did say I only gave a brief glimpse of it. Morphing grid is much more than an airy field. He says morphing grid came down from the sky and formed into a star alicorn constellation. Wait, did this happen or are you using pretend memoria spell? The latter. What do letters have to do with it? No! No! We're not doing that joke! Shut up! I think you said you saw the star constellation about to answer my question how we did all those martial arts against the orcs without being trained, Sambar said. That's right. Thank you, Sambar. Answer your question. I'm going to need to borrow your sword. Sure, here you go, Sambar said. See, no problem with this. The Star Alicorn constellation hoped to inform an avatar version of Sambar's ranger form. That's the fourth strangest thing I've ever seen. What's the first? Professor Piggy Pie. Yes. Well, this demonstration might be strange. The answer to Sambar's question could be simpler. Spirit Might said, the South versus the Yorks came out of nowhere, surrounded the Star Alicorn constellation Ranger before a fight broke out. You see, when you morph into your Ranger forms, your minds and body are instantly connected to the morphing grid. You gain an increase in speed, agility, and durability, enhanced strength, and it gives you mastery in martial arts such as karate, kempo, taekwondo, judo, etc., etc., etc. Johnson explained as the Star Alicorn was doing all those martial arts moves to the Shadow Orcs, and then threw a Shadow Orc in a nearby tree. Why away, Chimber? Spirit I said while pointing behind the young six. The young six then looked behind to see the tree that the Shadow Orc was going through and be on top of them. Young Six didn't have time to react. What the? Sandbar said, confusing. This forest is just a memory spell, remember? I can't believe you fell for that. It's not funny, Silverblade. Not funny. It's not Gallus. Not like a joke. But matter of fact, they've fallen for that joke. Well, Gallus, comedy is subjective, though admittedly you have to put more thought into a weak point. But anyway, yeah, but you know what was funny? Looks at those dust orcs. Moving on! Yeah, all thanks to the morphing grid, which also gives us mastery of our weapons. The Yaku fence become raging patterns. Weak dust orcs don't stand a ghost of a chance. Oh, you owe me some offense to the Ghost Knight teacher. Oh, Spirit, not a ghost. For the record, I was more upset that I was interrupted. Sorry. Yeah, me too. Policy accepted. Yes, and I'm sorry that you are wrong about the morphing grid. You see, the morphing grid only gives you basic knowledge on how to use your weapons. Don't worry, you'll learn to master your weapons after weeks and months of training, said Silverblade. Okay. Oh, Yona, it's Power Rangers, not Ranger powers. But you're right about the weak orcs, so I saved the weakened orcs. You see, the orcs you fought at the Tree of Harmony fought in front of this castle at the dam were weaker to the ones me and my fellow knights fought 2,000 years ago. How's that possible? Do you think that's why the orcs turned to dust after we beat them? I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, I would say that Darklaw has something to do with it. Well, so explain the dust orcs, as you call them. After all, the Dark One doesn't have the power to resurrect the living, and the only minion that he could do that to was taken care of centuries ago. Um, is this me, or does this feel like a lot of exposition for this chapter? I feel like 99% of this chapter would be shortened. It would just shorten all this. His thing is that orcs kick their butts in the Tree of Harmony with just a bunch of whips. Yes, but to be fair, he has zero combat experience while they have centuries of combat experience. Silverblade said, let's make the X6 feel a little better. But getting back on track, when you transform into your Ranger form, you'll all gain advanced strength, durability, agility, and reaction time. But some, like Oculus and Silverstream, have super speed and the ability to make aqua shields. Like your weapons, they are only basic. You'll learn more about your elemental powers as we train. Now I'll just Silverstream's 3 questions. First of all, the swords are not alive, don't be ridiculous. To answer your second question, how do the swords choose you? After the Dark One was defeated, we intended each sword with a magic spell so that if anything bad happened to the previous owner, it would search the globe to find the next generation of warriors so they can use the power when the world needs them. Well, of course, instead of 6 warriors, they chose the 6 of you, which I still have no idea why. As for where the swords came from and who made them, that's a very long story. It'll take time away from your training, but I promise to tell you in the future. Okay, always love to hear stories that take time away from your training. That I can wait, Silver Street said. Raised eyebrows from everyone. Excuse me a sec. I need to test a theory about this exposition dump. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I brought Rick Hammersteel. He's going to start reading the rest of this exposition dump. I'm going to test a little theory here to see if it's so boring and dull because there's just so much of it. Cue it. Peace sakes, you interrupt my Godzilla. Nobody interrupts me when I'm watching Godzilla. I just did.
Alright, I'm starting.
Right where the bookmark says. Start off with right.
Right. Anyway, let's move on to these giant metal beasts, or as they are called, the Beast Knight Swords. Johnson cleared his throat and tried not to laugh at Silverstream's weirdness. You were able to drive the Beast Knight Swords, thanks to once again to the Morphe Grid. There's so much more than these Knight Swords can do.
Hey, what else can they do? One question, why are they called the Beast Knight Souls and they look nothing like knights?
I would love to answer both those questions. That would ruin your surprise. Don't worry, however, you'll find out soon enough, said Johnson, giving a rather sly smirk. Those swords were buried in the ground after the final battle of the Dark One 2,000 years ago. Unfortunately for us, the town of Troyville was built around where the swords were buried, and not on top of where they were buried. Okay. Now on to Yona's question of why the orc couldn't take your helmet off. Well, that's because of a special lock that makes it so the only one that can take off the helmet is the wearer. Johnson said. Now, to answer the question as to what is a Power Ranger, how you were able to use those powers to defeat the orcs as well as slice and dice. The rest of the young six listen closely. Why do you know as much as Gallius? I honestly have no idea. The young six jaws dropped simultaneously.
What do you mean you don't know? Weren't you the one who knighted us, the Power Rangers Knights of War?
Gallus asked in both confusion and a little anger. Yes, I did. But we won't always call it that. See, after we found out the swords were transformed into knights, and knowing that we would have to fight in a war for our own, we dubbed ourselves the Knights of War. However, just like Slice and Dice, the Dark One monsters called us Power Rangers. Even though we didn't know what a Power Ranger was, we chose to use the name to strike fear into our enemies, and thus the Power Ranger Knights of War were born. Of course, we wanted to figure out what a Power Ranger was, but having to save lives and fighting a war. We never really had any time to do any research.
Well, understandable.
Gal said with his friends were not in agreement.
Well, I guess all that's left is for you to answer my questions about this evil dark guy.
I heard Johnson being so vague about him. Let's slower, for I cut, Johnson said.
But why not? Asked Blue Griffin. I'm not scared of him. I just we took down a giant chainsaw monster. Chainsaw Man?
Smolder, Yona, and Sandbar all nodded in agreement. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I don't think Oxidus and Silverstream feel the same way, Johnson said. Then the four friends turned to see Oxidus and Silverstream, both of them looking conflicted.
Are you guys okay?
Asked Gauss.
I'm fine. It's just that I don't feel comfortable hearing about a dark evil force inside the other creatures right now.
Also said while her ears were colored in sadness. Silverstream put a wing around the changeling, covering her.
I'm with Ocillus,
she said. Every creature in the room immediately understood why. And I don't feel comfortable telling the whole truth unless everyone on this team is ready, the Spirit Knight said, finding Ocillus on the head.
Alright, you guys feel this way, then I guess I can wait,
Gal said respectfully.
However, I think it's only fair that we know the true name of the Dark One, as you call him. If that's okay with you guys.
Gal said, looking at Ocillus and Silverstream. Ocillus nodded sincerely.
Yes, Gals, I agree with you.
I'm sorry I completely changed his voice, but I don't care right now.
As long as the name doesn't have the words King or Storm, I'll be okay.
His name is... Stopping for some reason. His name is the... He stopped again. I still was concerned.
Are you okay, Ashley Johnson?
Asked Silverstream. Fine, I'll just write it. Your sword used it like a giant pencil to spell out.
Okay. Forget Voldemort. We just can't say Voldemort's name. Just write it down on the sand.
Used it like a giant pencil to spell out the name. The Knight of Darkness. I like how these guys are called the Knights of War, but like there's like a Knight of Darkness. I don't know. I feel like Knights of War is like kind of implies badness, but that's just me.
That's what you always say, isn't it? That war is a bad thing. But where you don't realize how necessary it is to further our abilities. Oh! I'm sorry, I thought this was Super Robot Wars.
That's it? Wasn't the night already taken? What? Was the Black Knight already taken?
Sorry, there's no comment.
Seriously, what kind of name is the Knight of?
Before Gauss finished saying name, Johnson stopped him. Please don't say the name. It's one of the only things that still scare me, said, shedding a little.
Sorry, I didn't know.
You probably should have thought of that before becoming our mentor. As he looked down the right and getting smashed.
Smash!
We're getting smashed by Yona the Yak.
Yona, what are you doing?
The guy caught hard. Yak smashes the name just like Yak and friends will smash Dark Knight thanks to new power, the Spirit Knight's teachings. So, cute smile on her face. You couldn't have said it better myself, said Sandbar while the others nodded. Oh, well, I'm glad to see you were all comfortable. Now, do you have any more questions? The answer is no. Oh, thank God. Good. Then your training can begin. Oh God, we're gonna go through this all now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I'm looking at that scroll bar, and I'm currently questioning my life choices. I'm wondering why I'm not back home.
Well, you've run the test for me. Thank you. You can go back up now.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not giving you the 5 bits.
You son of...
But I think my point has just been proven. This exposition just feels so dull. It's dull. All this is just so... Well, at least we should have a little bit of a training session, right? It's not like this whole entire exposition has put me to sleep for what?